What we have here is a future project. This is a customer radio. This is one of the last ones I have to do before I can get working on mine. But I'm not going to hurry this one, and I'll tell you why. I mean, I don't hurry any of them, but I certainly wouldn't hurry this one. This is an unusual radio. I don't see many of these. I've seen a couple pictures, Radio Museum and a couple other spots. One's for sale. This is a 1936, I believe, Western Auto Model 76. So these you find Western Auto and Western Air Patrol out this way every now and then. I don't know if you do in other areas, but in Salt Lake City you see these pretty regularly. Not regularly, but I mean you see enough of them. But I've never seen the Model 76 before. There's the dial, and there's the escutcheon. Really pretty dial. Nice, pretty escutcheon without being overly crazy fancy. It has one of the 5 knobs. Now I've seen pictures. I think that's an original knob, so that's good because I'll know what to look for. But so far I've approached Mike Costa at Gobs of Knobs. He doesn't have one. I'm gonna try Playthings of the Past, but I just haven't gotten to that yet because I haven't been looking at this radio for long. So I've loosened it already. It's a wooden knob with a round hole, and of course it mounts with a set screw. Now this, if I remember right, yeah, the dial tuning, it's probably a friction drive. It feels like it's slipping a little bit, maybe not a cord. I don't know yet. I have to look at it. I really have not had the chassis out of this cabinet yet. Now I have removed the screws so I can pull the chassis out. I removed the screws out in the shop and then carried the chassis downstairs to the electronics shop. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the chassis out. And let me turn it around so you can see the back side of it. I'll pause it for a second, then I'll turn it around. There's the back side of this Model 76. Now you'll notice that kind of greenish color. I think that's cadmium plating, but I'm not sure. I don't encounter that very often. This is real powdery and it comes off fairly readily, so that's what I'm thinking it is. I imagine I have to handle that pretty carefully. I've heard stories that cadmium is not all that great for you, so I want to be real careful with it until I understand more about it. It's got, now the owner says that it works. The owner says they had it plugged in and working, but it doesn't work as well as they'd like, and they'd like to make it work better. So, I'll go ahead and I'll pull the chassis out first, and I'll take a gander at it just to make sure I don't do something dumb. And then I'll bring it up slow on the Variac to see how it does. There's a speaker. I like Jensen speakers. They were nice speakers. Robust. They were able to handle a little bit of power. So nice looking little speaker. Chassis looks decent. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good radio. It's got an RF amplification stage. Your basic, I haven't even counted the tubes yet, to be honest. So I see one way up there. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 tubes. So let me slide this chassis out and I'll turn the cabinet. And I'm going to see if I can get my hands on this chassis somewhere and slide her out. Okay, let me disconnect the speaker. Nice 4-plug speaker plug. Dusty, but that's about it. It looks to be in really nice shape up top. Like I said, I think that I'm not sure if that's cadmium. I really don't know that for sure. It might be. Those of you, if there's somebody out there who's experienced in this and knows about it, give me a shout. I'd like to know. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tube radio. Okay, awesome. This will be a nice set. And like I said, it's I think 1936. Dial's in very nice condition. Very nice condition. Those screws that hold those dial pointers on can be a real bugger sometimes. It just depends. So I will have to see how it comes out. I see a little bit of booger there. I might have to touch that up. I'm not sure. Hard to tell on that. There's some gasket there. That cork will be shrunken and dried and hard and all that. So I'll probably replace that with a piece of the rubber material that I get from Radio Days that I use for dial belt. It works well for gaskets too. Okay, that's nice and free. That's nice and free. We already know the tuning is free. That's probably a band switch, so nice and free. Yep, band switch. Okay, great. So far so good. Nothing seized up. Let me look at the tuning situation, how it looks. Beautiful. How is that working? That's got to be a friction drive. See a wheel down there? And that's what it looks like. Yeah, there we go. You can see it's like a pinch roller or a pinch wheel. You see how it works? It grabs it on the edges and moves it that way. Lots of machines are like that. Lots of radios are like that. It's actually really nice because then I don't have to worry about doing a dial string. And as long as this thing is working and it's adjusted right and it's gripping, usually if you clean them up and just, you know, if there's rubber on them, sometimes you have to rough up the rubber if it's still there. If it's not still there, then you have to figure something out. But, you know, usually these are pretty straightforward. You don't have to mess with them much. Okay, so we have one electrolytic cap, 450 volt cap. Not sure how to, that's tough to read. So anyway, it looks like certainly it's 450 volts. I'm not sure what the capacitance is. I'll have to look at the schematic for that. By the way, this one's a bugger to find a good schematic. The only schematic I've been able to find is so fuzzy that you can't read it. It's online, and that includes the one on Radio Museum. Usually theirs are pretty sharp, but I do know what rider's volume it is, and pardon my mess here, but I have the full rider's set. So, wow, boy, I'm a slob. Just ignore the messy shop. But I have the full rider's set, and I'll use a handheld scanner, and I'll scan it, and I'll get a real good schematic that I'll then put up on the wall like I do all my others. All right, so this is a first time for both of us, you and me. I'm going to tip this radio up on the transformer and take a look underneath and see what we see. Yikes. You know, there is nothing in the world worse than seeing that first. Because you know that somebody has been in there hacking on this thing. And I say hacking because when you do stuff like this, you don't know what you're doing. There's this high volt. This is, you know, obviously an electrolytic cap. It's in the high voltage power supply. As you can see, it's going off to the voltage divider right there. Look at this this is like phone wire. Okay, this cap is rated. This cap is rated at 475 volts, 40 microfarads, 35 microfarads, and 10 microfarads, all at 475 volts. And they're connecting it to the voltage divider in the high voltage power supply with phone wire. Wow. Okay, so I won't be plugging that thing in until I sort out where those wires go, and I'm still not sure I'll do that. Look at this. So there's the line in, not even soldered. I mean, it's not even twisted tight. What a mess. Okay, so we've got some crumbling wire insulation syndrome. I'm sure I'll find plenty of that. The vintage this is the very first years of that vintage, but there's not a lot of wires, and most of them look to be cloth covered, so I might be okay there. I'll have to be really careful of those coils. Okay, so that part will have to really be on the watch. When they're under the chassis like that, you really have to work carefully. I like them better when they're in cans up top, but that's the way it is. So here we have the antenna leads coming in right here. And looks like that, so that's probably the antenna coil. I'm not sure where the oscillator, that might be it right there, but it's hard to say. It's either that or it's in one of those cans up top, but I bet that, I don't know. Usually if for the oscillator coil, if there's a couple of shortwave bands, there will be more than that number of coils on there. Anyhow, a couple of can domes, so they're often bad. So I'll have to check out those can domes. Oh my goodness, look at this stuff. What in the world? Wow, that's somebody tried to plug this in and use it. Now I'm sure they were just like John in Arkansas says, you know, they were working with what they had, trying to make it work. You know, some of this might have been done during the war, who knows? But this electrolytic looks newer than that. I see this kind of electrolytic on top of TVs all the time. So I'm guessing that these repairs were done at the earliest in maybe the 60s, maybe the late 50s. But anyway, there's look at that. I love those caps. And so there's going to be lots to do here. The cool thing about it is there's heck of a lot more room to work than that little Zenith I just finished up on. So now one of the reasons I do these vids is because when I go back to this radio later, because I'm not going to get to this radio till after Christmas, probably in February. When I go back to this radio, I'll have some record of what I saw then, and I'll also be able to demonstrate that, yeah, this is how I found it, because you saw me pull it out of the chassis, out of the cabinet. That was the first time I pulled it out. But there's a lot of work to be done here. I imagine some troubleshooting if there's anything damaged. I hope that all this fiddling around with the power supply didn't do anything nasty to the transformer. I will check that immediately. That's easy enough to do. I see some capacitors in there kind of cobbled in. You know, who knows? They were working with what they had. I'm not saying I'm any kind of expert, but I will make sure that this is per the schematic. It'll be correct for the schematic, and it'll be neat and tidy. And I will make sure everything is mounted firmly so that it's not flopping around in the radio. Okay, well, that's a first look at this 1936 Western Auto Supply model number 76. There we go, model number 76. There's a serial number. Okay, guys. Oh, wait a minute, real quick. Looks like somebody replaced a 6K7, probably an IF tube, way back in 1959. Wow, that's really cool. Anyway, I will try to preserve that. I don't like to remove any marks that are on there when it comes to me. I will not be starting this for a while, but this is a first look, and if you look at the series when it's all done, it won't matter to you. That's all for now. All right, I've got that Western Air Patrol Model 76 on the bench. I'm going to actually give this a try. I've looked at where that, I'm not sure what's going on with that electrolytic, but it's actually not, it's not connected to ground, so it's not going to do anything. And there are other electrolytics in there that are in circuit. So I think someone just tried to cobble this black electrolytic in there just because they were getting some hum and they thought that an extra one might help. But I don't think it's going to cause any problems because it's not connected to ground. There's really, as long as I don't touch those wires, I should be okay. So I'll keep them out of the way. Often when I'm firing up a radio on even on the Variac with the isolation transformer that I don't know much about or that I'm suspect of, I'll put on some leather gloves. And this is going to sound like overkill, kind of silly, I suppose, but I also wear some good tennis shoes. Of course, I'm on carpeting with padded insulation, so I'm pretty far removed from ground, but I like the gloves because It's just one more added protection, even with the isolation transformer and the variac, with the variac. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, variac is on. Let's watch that ammeter there and see what happens as we go up in volts. Now we are trying this together. Oh, by the way, in case I do get a radio signal, I have just a gator wire in place for an antenna right now. It's just the most convenient short antenna. I figure if it's going to work at all, that'll be enough to give me something. So it's just gator wired with an antenna. Let's watch as I go up. Got my new isolation transformer in today, so I'll have that ready in a few days. I'll be able to replace that little 2.5 ampere that I have. Okay, I'm up at about 100 volts. I'm getting hum. Huh. I'm getting some hum anyway. It's a good sign. So at least I know the audio is working. Let's go up a little more. So far I haven't jumped in current. I'm real surprised. 110 volts. So if I'm going to get anything, I'll get it at 110 volts. Now I'm all the way, I've got the gang all the way closed, so let's go ahead and see what we get here. Well, hot dog. A lot of distortion, but holy moly. Check that out, guys. I never would have guessed it. As cobbled as this thing is, I never would have guessed that I would get, wow. Lot of hum.
To Intermountain Sports Medicine Tosh, the orthopedic specialty hospital. Call 801.
Lot of hum and some distortion. Well, what the heck, man? This is better than I expected.
I'm giving you up. SBA. Small business loan. They're for businesses like mine.
A lot of hum on station, a lot of hum otherwise. So definitely power supply hum, and it's pretty strong. Okay, so it's all at one end. That's okay. Capacitors to take care of that. Yeah. Very cool. Okay, I know it works. That's all I need to know. Just so we know, at 110 volts, we're pulling about, oh, I don't know, quarter amp. Let's see what happens at 117 volts, and then we'll call it good. That gauge there is inaccurate. So here's what I got. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. At 117 volts, I am pulling about, I'd say about a quarter amp or a little more than that. Okay, let's shut her down. I don't want to push my luck. Okay, so there we have it. That's the first test of this Western Air Patrol. Tells me that the IFs are working, oscillators working, transformers are good. Output transformer is good. Main power transformer is good. All the IF coils are doing their thing, so we should be good. I mean, it was nice and selective on the couple of stations I got, and they were all bunched up at one end of the dial, so I'm thinking it's just alignment. I'll replace all those capacitors first, of course, and the resistors. A lot of dog bones in there. Those dog bones have to go. I'm like John in Arkansas, man. Dog bones are really cool, and they probably make great jewelry, but that's about all they're useful for. They're old, and they're early carbon comp, and they need to go because if they haven't drifted high yet, they will when this thing starts being played a lot. So if this were my radio and I was going to be the one playing it and monitoring it, no big deal. Then I might leave them in there. But I'm doing this for someone else, and by the time they know, what's happened, it will be too late. So I'm going to go ahead and yank those out. man, all the trimmer caps look really nice and really good condition. I mean, the important stuff looks good. So what the heck? I may this radio might come out to be just fine. All right, guys, that's the first test run of this radio. We know it works now, and I'll get going. I'll get the customer an estimate, and then I'll get going on the job. That's all for now.